Hey, this is Ryan from Web Eminence. We all have local coffee shops that we love, regardless of how good their websites are. But since websites are my thing, I tend to look at them and critique them a little bit closer. So in this video, I'm gonna share 4 tips for heating up your coffee shop website for all you current and new coffee shop owners out there. So I'm going to use a few examples of coffee shops that I've just run across in the towns where I've lived and the shops that I've visited. And I'm also going to use one example from a client, a coffee shop owner whose website I built. So the first tip is to make sure to include pictures of your location. You're probably thinking people have been to your coffee shop and they know what it looks like, but there's going to be plenty of visitors, tourists who are checking out your location for the first time, and they're going to want to see pictures. So if they Google you, they're probably going to find photos from you or from people who've just taken photos and posted them online. That's great, but you're not going to have a lot of control over that. So you definitely want to include some great photos on your website. And here's one example website of a coffee shop in Denver that does this well. Right on the homepage, they have a large picture of their space, but they even have a page called The Space. And if you click on that, you'll see a bunch of pictures of their space. So this gives anybody who visits this a really good feel for the space, you know, whether or not they want to go there, sit, work, whatever. So definitely include pictures of your space. They even have pictures of the bathroom, which I rarely see, but people like to know that, and it gives you some reassurance that the place is clean and going to be able to go to the bathroom there. So the next tip for elements to include on your coffee shop website would be to maximize the menu. And food and drink is what you do, so you definitely want to include that on the website. I'm kind of annoyed when I go to like a coffee shop website and I can't really see, you know, what they actually serve in terms of hot drinks and food. So definitely make sure to include that. Here's an example of a client's website I did, and I think they did a pretty good job highlighting the menu. So there's a menu page, and we got some large text with photos, prices, and short descriptions. So it's a full menu like you'd get or view when you visit their location. And then we have links at the top as buttons to kind of jump down to view the section you're looking for, which is great on mobile, so you don't have to scroll through all of this. So the next tip is to overdo the address. And what I mean by that is just to highlight your location, make it really prevalent on the homepage. This site here is a local coffee shop in my current town, and I think they're going for a minimalistic look, which is kind of cool, but when people visit this, they probably prefer just to see some information like phone number, location, address. You do have to click on shop to get to the next page, which I believe is going to display, looks like some of their products. Even on that page, they don't have the map. So that actually meant shop in terms of purchase. I was thinking coffee shop, but if I click on hours, that's going to give me some information about the location. Actually, it doesn't even have hours. So that's a problem. Maybe it's because it's currently closed due to the pandemic. I'm recording this during the coronavirus pandemic. So they have hours. They do have maps, which is great. But you know, I'd prefer, if it was me, just to have the map right here and be a little bit more clear about location. And then obviously if they click on the hours page, you want to have the hours there. So make sure your map and your address are very prevalent and obvious, because people, ultimately, you want customers to visit you. So here's another coffee shop website from a place in the Chicago suburbs I used to go to, and they do the location pretty well. At least at the top, they have a phone number. You do have to scroll down to see the map and the location and hours on the homepage. So it'd be nice to have that higher up on the page, especially on mobile. People are going to need to scroll all the way to the bottom to find that, but at least they have it on the homepage and it's very obvious. So the last tip is to keep it simple. And these 2 websites I showed you are a good example of the extremes. The first one being the Big Iron Coffee, where they're going for a simple minimalistic look, which again is cool, but it's got no information, and some of the information is a little confusing. So that's a little bit too simple. And then you go to this site that is definitely not simple. It's got a lot of text that nobody probably cares about unless they're really into coffee and they want to get into all these roasting partners and stuff like that. Some people might read that, but this is tiny, just too much information on the home page, and then they push the location down. So again, too much. Usually you're going to want to keep it a lot more simple, somewhere between this and this in terms of the amount of content, and probably go with a larger text that is much easier to read on desktop and mobile, which most people are going to be viewing your site on. So those are my 4 tips for coffee shop websites. I'm also going to link to a post I wrote where I talk about common pages you want to include on a coffee shop website, so check that out in the description. On that blog post, there's also a video review I did of a popular WordPress theme for coffee shops. So I'll link to that video here and you can check that out next. We'll see you there.